I just finished watching season 1 of Daredevil Born Again. So for context, Daredevil Born Again is a sort of soft reboot sequel series to the Netflix Daredevil series. It's a new show, new creative directors, new team, new everything. I don't want to talk about the whole series right now. Instead, I want to talk about one specific scene. There's a scene where Matt is in the hospital. He's been injured, and there's a person that's trying to kill him, just trying to get rid of him. In the show proper, this scene is very quick. Guy shows up, Matt escapes, and then we cut to the next scene, the next sort of action scene. And when I was watching that, it kind of got my brain moving a little bit and thinking about how I would want to do this scene. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't like the scene that's in the show. I think the scene and the scenes after are good. And then it also doesn't mean that I think that I can automatically do stuff better than the writers and the team that was behind it. I just thought that this would be an interesting writing exercise using the characters and like the story given to try to make my own version of what happens in that finale, and thus made this video. The first thing I want to establish is the characters I'll be using. So I'll be using Matt. Matt is a sort of like ninja lawyer who's blind, who has heightened senses, and also is very Catholic. And then I'm going to replace the secret agent that was trying to kill him with the Punisher task force that is in the show. The reason why I'm doing this, and the reason why I'm not using the secret agent character that's in the original scene, is because it doesn't make sense in this scene for him to be doing what I want him to be doing. I wanted Matt to be hunted throughout the hospital. I thought it'd be more interesting seeing Matt like have to deal with being wounded and also trying to fight for his life. But it doesn't make sense in this sort of like covert, making it look like an accident, running around with guns and like shooting people in a hospital. That doesn't really make sense. I also want to slightly adjust the setting. I want the hospital that this takes place in to be a hospital with a church either attached or close to it. You'll see why later, but those are my only two changes to the setup. We're gonna open the scene up like we do in the show. We're gonna have Matt injured and resting, and he's going to sort of wake up and hear distant radio chatter. I want Fist to be talking to his sort of Punisher task force, and that's what sort of piques Matt's interest before the power goes out, like it does in the normal show. People are going to be freaking out in the hospital, and during that time, Matt is going to try to slip away. He's going to have to sneak past the task force, and there's a bunch of different like ways that I want this to be portrayed. But the main point when he's trying to slip away from the task force is he's having trouble because his left arm is basically useless. His left arm is useless and he is bleeding out. Something the show doesn't really do because they want to have like sort of bigger action with Matt, despite his injuries, is they show him fighting and not really having issues with his injuries. He winces every now and again. But I want to really emphasize the fact that Matt is in a bad place right now. He's very, very injured, and he should not be doing this. And he's basically backed up into a corner and has to escape this way. A couple of the ideas is like him trying to slip out on a window and like climb to another window, and he's having trouble because his left arm is like not working. Maybe he's like hiding under a bed and he's like leaving a blood trail, and maybe that's something that they follow. Anything that emphasizes that his arm is hurting and he's in a bad spot and he needs to get out, and it's in his best interest to leave. I want for the end of his escape to be a church. Matt is very Catholic, Daredevil is very tied to being Catholic, so I want for him to seek refuge in a church after this escape. It is at this moment that he'll hear like the frustrated task force beating up on maybe a nurse or a doctor or like a patient, someone there who's getting in their way, and that'll cause him to pause, and we'll see like a wide shot of him in front of a stained glass window. And I want him, after hearing that, to decide to go back into the hospital. I'm a bit conflicted on how long that might take, if that's almost immediate after hearing it, or if there's like a few seconds of like him struggling with that. But now that he's basically full on Daredevil again, I would like him to just go straight back, essentially. In the season finale, directly after this hospital scene, there is a fight scene with the same task force that I'm using in his apartment. So I'm sort of combining the hospital scene and the task force fight scene together. I don't want Matt to fight them as Daredevil. I want Matt to fight them as Matt, and I want Matt to fight them as a clearly injured Matt. So Matt is going to approach this a lot more stealthily and a lot more tactically than he does in the actual scene in the show. Something that I thought of that might be a fun idea is that he's like looking around for what he can use, and he's maybe sniffing the different drugs, like the different syringes, to see if he can find any sort of anesthetic to help take out some of the guys. So I'm going to have Matt lose this fight. Like, he's going to struggle with this. He's going to take down a few guys, like stealthily, but in the end, he is going to be outnumbered, outgunned, and he's going to be on the brink of basically losing and dying until the Punisher shows up. Much like the apartment scene, Punisher's going to show up, and Punisher's going to help, and of course, Karen is going to show up, and they're going to help take out the guys and help get Matt out of there. Which is then going to lead into the scene at the Punisher's place, just like in the normal show. So that's going to be our sort of end point. Now, this isn't perfect. I had a lot of issues with Matt being conflicted, as he's pretty much, by the season finale, he's back to being Daredevil, and I think he would just immediately go back into fighting. But I like the idea of him hesitating a bit with his injury, but I don't know what that portrays for the character. Matt is known to be very reckless, so I would think that he would just go straight back in, even though he's kind of like dying. But that's sort of the fun that comes with writing. It's sort of the internal debate you have with, should I include something? Should I not include something? How does including something change things? How does not including something also change things? And I think like exercises like this, where you see something and you think, oh, I would do it this way, is kind of just like good brain exercise if you want to eventually write your own stuff. I want to eventually write my own series, and I find watching, consuming, analyzing art like this, along with producing stuff like this, really helps push that forward, making my own stuff. And I think that's pretty neat.